close and personal too. He was just a great wide receiver.
Oh, just a great athlete, period.
College probably slowed him down so
Well,
much.
yeah, but I mean, he was just outstanding.
Yeah.
We were talking about, Cam Akers and some of the people we've seen play in those championship games.
Where did I see
years.
Cam Akers signed on?
He's playing well. He was with Minnesota. He went from the Rams to Minnesota,
Yes.
and then he got he hurt his Achilles a couple of weeks ago.
So he's out.
Yeah, he's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, pretty Rams are too. So.
Well, but he was playing for the Vikings, and the Vikings with a new quarterback that they have look a lot better.
They they do. We'll have to see.
Why are we talking about?
Well,
pro
I don't know,
football?
but we've got a lot of kids in the NFL. That's why.
That's true.
A bunch of these kids that you hear about.
Well, that's what we were talking. That's kind of what we were talking about. Is how you will see some people in these championship games that you'll be watching on Saturday.
Yep.
And a few of them you'll be watching on Sunday in a few years.
Yeah, the percentages go down tremendously.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
I'll be right over. Whoa, how'd you get your house fixed so fast? One call to EC Malone. If you don't know Malone, you don't know roofing. But what about insurance? They work with my insurance company so I don't have to. My repairs can begin without delay. Amazing. I'll call EC Malone Roofing right away. Thanks, Malone.
If the money's yours, you should have it. That's why State Treasurer David McRae has returned a record $80 million in unclaimed money to Mississippians. And there's hundreds of millions more, maybe with your name on it. Check the list. Visit www.treasury.ms.gov and see if you have any of the unclaimed money. Each year, banks, utilities, businesses, brokers, and insurance companies turn over millions of dollars to the state because they're not sure who is entitled to the funds. Treasurer McRae has an entire unclaimed money staff waiting to take your claim and return your money. Check the list today. Treasury.ms.gov.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. Russ Robinson here along with George Broadstreet. Chris is back with us in the studio. Ty's on the telephone taking your calls. And if you'd like to call us, maybe, what was the 2 weeks ago, we had a bunch of people calling that had never called before because their teams were winning. They may not be in a good mood tonight, so we don't know if we'll hear from them tonight. But we're going to be hearing from a lot of folks who, call these games, etc. But before we get to that, we've been talking about the state championship games, which are next weekend. And here on MPB, Jared Schatz and his company and his crew have put together a stellar lineup of people that'll call the games, and they'll be there. And he joins us now on the phone. Of course, he is the voice of the Germantown Mavericks. Jared, happy holidays to you, my friend.
Yeah, guys. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I felt like Christmas came early with some great games to watch, and had a little pecan pie, so everything was good here.
Yeah, it was too. I'm a little full of turkey right now, but it'll pass, so to speak. Anyway, you got the state championship games coming up next week, and gosh, Jared, for the longest time, I wasn't available to do those, and finally you put this thing together. You did a great job of putting it together. Of course, Jason Klein was with us then, but Jared, it's so important for these games to be on radio because this is the time of year everybody's going nine ways to Sunday, and they're Christmas shopping, or they're going to games or whatever. And it's important to have these games on radio, and boy, you've got a bang up crew of people that are going to call them.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a need for this, several years ago. I remember going to a game. I believe it was in Oxford back in 2017 or whatnot, and I think Starkville and Pearl were playing in the state championship that year. Actually, I know they were. Pearl won the ball game, but I remember driving up thinking, man, it'd be nice to know what's going on in the games beforehand. And we just really had a good vision. Went to Jason Klein with NPB. And they really liked what we had to say, and we've brought some amazing talent in, including Ben Ingram, Mississippi native, voice of the Atlanta Braves, and we've got Caleb Hamill. A lot of these guys call into the show each and every Friday night. Obviously Jake Wimberly.
Yep.
So many talented guys, Josh West, that will be included in this broadcast. But I tell you guys, it's so important, like you said. There's so many things going on. People are visiting family in certain parts of the state. They're having to travel. They're shopping. And how about our deer hunters? I can't tell you how many text messages I get when the championships are going on, and they're trying to kill deer and listen to the ball game. It's pretty cool.
At the same time.
Yeah, if those deer just knew what was coming. There's a lot of them. You're right, Jared, because I've had a lot of people text us. The deer hunters get out at this part of the year, and they sit around the campfire. They'll listen to Friday Night on the Lights to find out what's going on with all these games to get to the championship game. And so it just made sense for you to come along and carry the torch forward to the championships where we leave off. And then, of course, we pick up on the other side of that with the two All-Star games, and it's just been a really good association with Mississippi Public Broadcasting.
Absolutely. It's a great way to finish the year. It's awfully tough, especially for us broadcasters who have our respective teams that we do. And, you kind of take the losses when the team does. Like, tonight it was a tough loss for Brandon. You can hear the disappointment in the broadcaster's voice. Jake and those guys do a great job, but sometimes you wear it on your sleeve.
Yep.
It's such a good way for us to end the year with the championships. You get the All-Star games. They really do feed off of each other very well. And, it's big for Mississippi, especially when you can carry the banner all the way to the Miss-Al game. So it's a great way to just kind of hand the baton off and continue, the great success of these broadcasts and really put a good feeling on the end of a football season, no matter how your team did.
Right, and I think that's the key, Jared. You just hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you're MPB and you're carrying these games, you don't have a dog in the fight as far as one school over the other, but you're making sure that everybody gets a chance to hear it.
Absolutely. It's really we call these Mississippi's games. This is for Mississippi. If you're a high school football fan, whether your team had a good year or not, this is one of those where it's the purest form of football. These kids may never play the game again. I mean, this is
right.
This is how they're going to wrap up their career. And for some, they'll never get a shot like this again. And this is just so big for us to carry these games. You can go anywhere in the state. We'll have it on 9 radio stations from the Gulf Coast to North Mississippi and east to west. So all the MPB stations will have them, and we're excited about it. We're also going to have the tailgate show with Breck Riley. Mississippi Association of Broadcasters gave him the title of basically radio personality of the year for 2 years in a row. He's got a big personality, obviously. He can talk live, sports, put it all in one, and he's going to host a tailgate show. That will air an hour before each kickoff.
Good.
So we'll start the day off. I believe it's going to be late kickoffs on Thursday and Friday at 4 o'clock. He'll start it off at 3 on those days. He'll preview all the games, and then Saturday we'll come on the air at 11 a.m. before the noon kickoff. So Breck's a great guy to kind of steer the ship. And really that was our last piece of the puzzle. We've got to have something to transition the game. We don't want to throw it back to regular programming. We want to keep it here and keep it all about these kids and football here in Mississippi.
Jared, you've done a great job putting this together. I know one of the most fun games I ever called, you were there because you were calling it with me, and you do a great job with the Mavericks over at Germantown, and I know that a lot of folks are going to be anxiously awaiting your call on these championship games. Going to run, my friend. Have a great week. I'll see you up there, and we'll have a lot of fun.
Looking forward to seeing you guys. Look, I did a great job this year as usual with FNUTL, and we really appreciate your coverage. So, yeah, we'll see you up there, Russ, and thank you guys for having me on.
Always, Jared. Thank you so much, my friend. All right, let's go to someone who's in not a very good mood. Kerry Metzler joins us now. Oh, friend. Are you out there?
Hello?
Are you there?
Hello?
I'm here.
Are you asking for me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm here.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Where are you?
I'm on I-50. I'm on I-59 going about 75 miles an hour.
All right. Look, when I saw the first score I saw was 13-0. Now, you warned us last week, hey, West Jones a good football team, and I guess tonight you found out just how good they were.
Yeah, Russ, they've got a tremendous ball club. Their defensive front, they're front 5 or 6. Sometimes they do a 5-man front, sometimes a 4. They go in that 5-2 and walk the safety up there. They made it real hard on us tonight. Give credit to them. They did an excellent job kind of shutting us down, running the football tonight. We just never could get on track. Until the last drive of the game, our longest run from scrimmage was 2 of them at 10 yards. So you got to tip your hat to them and Coach Reynolds. They've got a really good football team over there. And they're really young quarterbacks, freshmen, too.
Yep.
Played well tonight. Threw some touchdowns. You played a little bit against Dickey last year as an 8th grader. You tip your hat to them. Things just didn't go our way, and I'm not saying this made any difference. But, it's Chris Davis didn't play tonight. He was unable to play due to some penalties last week. And then second possession for us, Darrell Smith went down, and so it kind of put the whole monkey on Darrell's, on Nike Rackman's back when Darrell went out, and he played his heart out. That kid will play running back or defensive back at the next level. He's really a special athlete. But, it's been a good run. Coach Saunders did a great job with this team. Sometimes, Russ, you just play somebody that everything's going their way,
yep.
And, as those saying, they're going downhill, and they played great. Look, there wasn't a whole lot we could do with them tonight. Their defense was really good. They ran the ball well. They're back home. So he had a couple big runs to set up scores for them. That was huge. They picked up a fumble, ran it for a touchdown. We just never could get on track against them. But give them credit. That's a really, really talented ball club. I called Coach Reynolds after the game, wished him luck. Hopefully they can win it next week because West Jones is really, really, really on the roll right now.
Well, as you know, I saw them earlier in the year up close, and I knew their defense was really solid, but they weren't scoring many points. As a matter of fact, this is the team, the West Jones team, that beat Terry the next week 2-0 in a real 2-0 ball game. And so they started right after that game. They started clicking on offense, and apparently, like you said, the young quarterback is clicking on all cylinders now and playing well and putting points on the board.
Yeah, they're so physical up front. That makes on the defensive side they put you in a bind, and we think you tried everything they could, and again, no lack of effort on our guys. They played their tails off. Sometimes you play somebody they got a few more horses, and in this case, a few more Mustangs than you, and you got to give it. They're a good bunch. They're going to give Grenada fits. I can tell you that right now.
Well,
it's been a good run. It's been a lot of fun, Russ. I tell you, I've enjoyed 30 years of Marine time football. It's been a good run. It's about time for the old boy to say enough is enough, and going to be a granddaddy, as I told you a couple of weeks ago, and it's time to be Papa C. And that's the torch.
Well, so this was it tonight.
This is it tonight. It's been it next week, Russ, on the high school, and I'll continue to do the community college. That's a little easier schedule with the Thursday nights and also the Monday, Thursday, and other sports.
Right.
And I've had a blast. I've had great support. Todd, Don, over the years, Barry Harper. I mean, just so many guys that just done, great job for us for so many years. And I've had the privilege of spending Friday nights with them, and all the fans have been so great to us. The school's been great to us. John Pike, the owner of WRJW Radio, has been great to us. I have nothing but good memories. Even losing here tonight, a lot of good memories from this bunch here tonight. They played their tails off this season and had to go through a lot of injuries and whatnot to get to the South State. And can't say enough about the job Coach Stogger and his staff have done. They really have represented PQ extremely well. Really have.
Well, I'll tell you what, we will miss you on Friday night, but I'm probably not that far behind you. We will see how that goes, my friend. Hey, Kerry, thanks so much for making us a part of your Friday nights over the years. And, gosh, it's just not going to be the same, but we wish you well and glad that you're a grandpa and everything's going well. And you did have a great season this year. Thanks so much, my friend.
Love you guys.
Love you too, brother. Wow.
Well,
wow, that's a scoop.
Yeah, it really is. But it just won't be the same without Kerry. He's going to have to call us a little something. I mean,
maybe he'll listen to games.
Yeah, to give us some insight,
Hey, we're going to take a time out. Tonight's show being made possible by the State Treasurer of Mississippi and their ongoing Impact program. Check it out on the website. We'll be back.
Did you know HBCUs are a great place to network? Did you know Cricket has a great network with speedy 5G and is a proud supporter of HBCUs? Yes.
Everybody already knows.
Dante, did you know this is an A and B conversation? So you need to see yourself out. He knows now.
Can't process your insurance claim until your request is finished with underwriting. We need more details of all damages to process your insurance claim. Be sent once we finish processing your insurance claim.
It's going to be a little while before you get that check.
Your roof is leaking, but that doesn't help us process your request.
Next season, boys.
We work directly with your insurance provider so you don't have to. That means we can get to work without delay. If you don't know Malone, you don't know roofing.
1 in 10 Mississippians has unclaimed money awaiting claim at the state treasury. There's literally hundreds of millions of dollars waiting to be united with the rightful owner. At www.treasury.ms.gov to search, you'll see your name and stake your claim by following these instructions. You'll be asked for some basic ID like a copy of your license or a government-issued ID, then hit send. Treasurer David McRae has a dedicated unclaimed money team awaiting your claim, ready to return your money. Don't wait. Look for your name and stake your claim today. www.treasury.ms.gov.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights, made possible tonight by Cricket Wireless. Smile, you're on Cricket. And here is George. And before we get to the Dr. Reed Vance, we will go to George, who will have all the scores for you, which not that many tonight. So take it away.
All right, Russ, let's review the scores. 7A North Championship was won by Starkville. They defeated Madison Central tonight, 35-15. Maybe the game of the night as far as the competitiveness Oak Grove and Brandon, a game that the lead changed many times in the second half. Oak Grove pulls that one out 49-45 over Brandon. So it'll be Starkville and Oak Grove for the 7A championship. In the 6A North Championship, won by Grenada, they beat South Panola tonight 33-21. And they will face West Jones in the championship. 6A South Championship, West Jones defeated Picayune 42-13. In the 5A North, West Point, we've heard West Point a few times.
Yeah.
They defeated Clarksdale tonight 21-14. And the 5A South champion is a little bit of surprise. Laurel finishes the year 8-6, but they defeated Gaucher tonight at home 31-10. The 4A North championship won by Louisville. They defeated Houston 20-7 was the final there, and they will play Columbia. Columbia won the 4A South championship 28-21 over Poplarville. 3A North, Winona over Amanda Elsie 49-22. 3A South won by Noxubee County. They defeated Jefferson County 36-14. 2A North, Charleston 40-14 winner over Union. Charleston is now 12-2 on the season. The 2A South champion is Heidelberg. They defeated Raleigh 16-6. The 1A North champion is Biggersville. Biggersville over Vardaman 41-21. And the 1A South champion is Velma Jackson, who defeated Taylorsville 44-22. Now, this had to come from Dave Showles. I got a text a few minutes ago. We were talking about Velma Jackson. They have never won a state football championship.
Well, I knew that.
They have won, I believe he said, 6 district championships, and he listed the years. But they've won a lot of district championships, never won a South State championship, and never won a football championship. Won many basketball.
Oh, yes.
But
yeah.
never football. But Velma Jackson is 13-0, and I don't have the exact number. He gave me a bunch of stats, but they've scored like over 600 points this year and gave up less than 100.
Whoa.
So they have not played very many close games.
Man, if you're just a football enthusiast, you're going to want to go watch that game.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you know, it's going to be it's going to be some great championship games for sure.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk to Dr. Reed Vance because he's going to be on the outside looking in on this 6A state championship game because we actually thought that Warren Central might be in that game, and he's the play-by-play man for them.
Really thought throughout a good bit of the season that it very well could have been would have been Warren Central.
Yeah, but it was not to be. And Reed joins us. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Evening, guys. How are you?
We're pretty good. Are you surprised at this matchup?
Not really. But on the South, West Jones has been, I guess, maybe the team to beat down there all season long. Just how good are they? I was listening to Kerry call some of the games for Picayune, and he mentioned they had a running clock in the second half. I don't know when the last time Picayune played a football game where they had a running clock and they were the team losing.
It was when the earth was a molten rock.
Yes, I can only imagine. So that gives me a good idea of just how good this West Jones team is, because Picayune shut out their first 2 opponents in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't have Quick Davis tonight. He didn't play.
Yeah.
And then they had their other back go down, which you heard Kerry talk about.
Right.
But, as you know, I got to see West Jones up close and personal. Prep played them earlier in the year. Yep. And defensively, man, they're stout. They are big up front, and they're so fast. And at that point, their offense had not really caught up with their defense, and it looks like now it has. And boy, I tell you, that's going to be a hard one to handle.
It is, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. Warren Central lost to Grenada last week, and then Grenada turned around and beat South Panola tonight. I watched a little bit of that football game.
Did that surprise you?
No, not after what I saw from Grenada last week. I did not see South Panola play; just saw some highlights. But after seeing Grenada play last week, they had a great combination of a terrific defense and an excellent between the tackles running game, just running downhill all night long. And That's a good recipe to win a championship. If I'm not mistaken, I think we talked about this last week, Grenada is kind of one of those teams that got on the roll late, and even though their one loss late in the season was to South Panola, it's really tough to beat a team twice.
Yeah, it is.
In 1 year.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that had Grenada. They won on the road tonight as well. And based on what I saw them do to Warren Central last week, and I think they gave up maybe 14 points total in the month of October. It wasn't a big surprise. South Panola is an excellent football team, but it's really tough to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be a really good matchup in the 6A title game between Grenada and West Jones. It may be one of those low-scoring games where 3-7 points is going to win it.
I have a tendency to agree with that, especially with West Jones's defense. So, we're sorry that WC wasn't there this year, but they got really close, had a great season. And, Reed, we so much appreciate the time and effort that you gave Friday Night Under the Lights this year and letting us know all that's going on with Warren Central. And I just kind of get the feeling they'll be back next year, probably playing on this week.
Well, I would hope so. They've got a lot of returning talent in that football team. They're a well-coached, very disciplined football team. They just turned the ball over too many times last week, and you can't do that in the playoff game. Hey, did I hear Kerry say he is retiring?
Yes, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Reed,
well, you know what?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, at this point, I think I may do the same thing and just go.
No. I was going to
no.
say, Reed, you got too many good years left.
That's right.
And
well, hey, look, as long as the checks keep clearing.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so
small
Reed's in it
as
for
they
the
may
money.
be, but
as humble as they are.
Oh, well.
Well, I tell you, you do a great job when you call those ball games, and I know the folks there down in Vicksburg really appreciate having you there. So I hope you stick around for now. I think they'll still clear, for the next couple of years. We'll have to see. Reed, thanks. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again next year.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas to both of you.
Merry Christmas to you. All righty. All right, so Jake Wimberly is on the phone. We're going to get the skinny on this Brandon game. Jake, what's going on?
Russ, George, Chris, hey, happy Thanksgiving weekend, sir.
Yes.
How you doing?
Thank you.
Hey, I tell you what, it was a classic tonight over off Highway 18, Brandon and Oak Grove. And, look, we've seen these two, battle it out over the years. And you go all the way back to when Gardner Minshew was in Brandon, and Oak Grove won a walk-off game to head to state in 2013. They won another one with John Rice Plumlee against Will Rogers in 2018, 2019. And then, Brandon got the better of them 2 years ago, and then Oak Grove gets the better of them tonight. And it was a classic football game. I mean, you're talking about, as Russ, as you say, defense is just a rumor. That's kind of what it was here until the final drive where Oak Grove was able to, stop Brandon on a fourth down play. But you got to tip your hat to Oak Grove in a fantastic ball game tonight.
Well, Drew Causey does an outstanding job with Oak Grove, and we knew going in this was going to probably be, the marquee game of the night, and that's obviously what it turned out. What did you run on 4th and 2 that they stopped?
4th and 2, you went to your bread and butter. You gave it to Nate Blunt, and he came up about half a yard shy. And Oak Grove probably knew what was coming. You had a little cat and mouse there, both teams calling timeouts in that situation. And, this game kind of mirrored the first matchup where Brandon went down there and won 38-20. Brandon ran a trick play down there, jumped up early, got an onside kick, and jumped out 10-0. And Oak Grove was chasing. Well, Oak Grove took the ball tonight and scored, and then Bulldogs found themselves in a hole offensively, had to punt. They scored again, and we're down. Oak Grove was up 14-0, so Brandon was chasing, 14 points, 7 points. Finally took the lead on a block punt in the third quarter where they were able to punch it in, and they went back and forth. So it was set up for Brandon to go get it. But Oak Grove, kind of really bowed their necks there defensively, and they are such a talented football team from Maddox, who's committed to Texas A&M at quarterback, 4 receivers that are going to play college ball somewhere, and some defensive front guys that are going to play as well. So if I was leaning early, I would say give me Oak Grove over Starkville in this 7A matchup, but I think it's going to be a 7A championship. I
think you're right, and I'll tell you, it is tough to beat the same team twice in a season, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Look, you got to tip your hat again to Sam Williams. This is the most decorated senior class that's graduating this year, that at the end of their careers tonight. You're talking about guys that won back-to-back region championships in Region 3, 6A/7A, and 3 straight trips to the South Final, and then 2 trips to the state championship. So, Nate Blunt, Landon Barnes, and several guys, Jalen Callender, and Jay McQueen, and several other, or Jay McQueen will be back, excuse me, but several others that leave this program in great footing for next year.
Well, this isn't the last time we'll hear you because you're going to be on MPB next week. Which games do you have on the state championship games?
Let's see, Russ. Right off the bat, I think I'm doing the 1A color. I'll call the 4A game, and then I've got a color on another game, and then you'll see me on the side set there for the TV. Chalking up the 45 minutes or to an hour, in between each games.
Well, you do a great job. You did a great job last weekend on the MAIS stuff, and I'm sure it's a tough ride home tonight. But you understand that's part of the game. That's what we call these games for. And I'll see you up there next week.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna get you to come sit with me on the side set. We'll chalk it up.
That sounds good, Jake. Thanks, brother. Be careful.
All right, see you then. Thanks, guys.
One of the best guys in the business, right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jake
and
Wimberly.
He had a great game and a great season.
Yes, he did. It's just these seasons end.
They do
this weekend
abruptly. Yeah.
We'll take a time out. More of Friday Night Under the Lights in a moment.
When storms rage, Malone responds. From claim to completion, Malone Roofing has helped rebuild communities for nearly 50 years. Contact Malone for 24/7 service at ecmalone.com.
Mississippi football families, have you thought about how you're going to tackle student loan debt? Don't do it on your own. Pass the ball to State Treasurer David McRae and his College Savings Mississippi team today. With College Savings Mississippi, you can lock in today's tuition rate, prepay college, and avoid student loan debt altogether. Don't let your finances get sacked because you didn't invest in your child's education. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more today.
Did you know HBCUs are a great place to network? Did you know Cricket has a great network with speedy 5G and is a proud supporter of HBCUs? Yes.
Everybody already knows.
Dante, did you know this is an A and B conversation? So you need to see yourself out. He knows now.
See your name and file your claim. Even the smallest counties in Mississippi usually have thousands of people whose names are on the unclaimed money list at the Mississippi State Treasury. That's right. Many counties even have tens of thousands of names listed, totaling tens of millions in unclaimed dollars. Since he's been state treasurer, David McRae has returned a record $80 million to Mississippians who've searched the list, found their names, and staked their claim. About 1 in 10 Mississippians have unclaimed money, and that's why you should check www.treasury.ms.gov or click on Unclaimed Money and search today. If you see your name, file your claim. If it's your money, Treasurer David McRae will get it back to you.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. Russ Robinson here, along with Chris Saxon. He is, and Ty Bailey's taking your calls tonight. Speaking of that, 1-877-MPB-RING, R-I-N-G, or those that are challenged like I. It is 877-672-7464. That is 877-672-7464. Maybe you've not called the show. I'd love for somebody from Grenada to call, and kind of get the skinny on that. But to get the real skinny on the Oak Grove Brandon, we've had Jake.
Yeah, get another perspective.
Let's get another perspective from Harold, who joins us now. Harold, I know you were at that game tonight, weren't you?
No, buddy, I wish I would have been, but I tell you what, from what I'm hearing, hey, it's going to be something in all the games that are coming up, man. I just wanted to call in and talk to y'all and give you a couple of predictions of what I'm seeing for the upcoming time. You know, like I said before, it's been my privilege to be a part of y'all. I mean, I have enjoyed every bit of it, guys, to be honest with you.
We've enjoyed every bit of you being on.
I tell you, it's something when you do what you can for your community. I've got working basketball some with them now, and then I'll work softball with them at Pedal come this spring. So it'll be interesting to see how our teams are going to do. But you know, hey, that Oak Grove game with Brandon, like Jake said, on off. You know, 2 years ago, Brandon handed it to him, and then tonight, Oak Grove goes up there and beats Brandon. So, you know, it's going to be a good ball game in that 7A.
Yeah.
I'm going to I'll pull with Oak Grove in it, but, you know, I'll look for Starkville to give them a good ball game.
I do too. And, you know, I can't because I don't know if you knew or not, but Josh West and I are calling the 1A championship and the 4A championship. So I can't.
Yeah, I talked to my partner Josh a while ago about that 4A. I'm going to tell you two. I'm going to tell both of you just like I told him. Y'all are going to have a ball game in that 4A championship. Because,
my goodness.
Hey, Russ, if you didn't get to see Columbia play, we were there. I was there for that ball game when we played them. I think it was the third game of the season.
They're the real deal, aren't they?
They are something. I mean, Columbia has got a dirty dozen of some guys. I'm telling you, you know, look, I'm going to send a message up to Lewis. You better watch your tapes on them, and you better get ready because, guys, that 4A championship could be one of y'all's best game of the night.
It could be. It's got the makings of that, and I think all the games have shaped up. You know, I was kind of my biggest surprise is Grenada. I mean, they're probably the best team that no one really knows anything about because they flew under the radar all year. But they up and beat South Panola tonight, who is battle tested in these kind of games.
Yeah. And I remember us playing South Panola in Jackson.
Yep.
And hey, that's something to hear that South Panola gets beat by Grenada. But then it's unreal that the teams Knoxville playing for the 3A championship is going to be something.
It's going to be a good one.
2A is going to be a good one. 1A with Velma Jack going up for their first title in what?
Ever.
Sometime back ever? Okay. You would see Taylorsville or Lumberton or somebody like that.
Right.
But then the two schools from Jones County, West Jones and Laurel, hey, they've had some battles in their times, but now West Jones is going for the 6A championship. Laurel's going for the 5A championship, which, Russ, Laurel started out like I think they were 0-3 to begin the season.
Yep.
And I mean,
Harold, really, speaking of all the different teams, that's really one of the interesting stories of this whole championship is the fact that Laurel, with an 8-6 record, is going to be playing in this championship game.
Yeah, it's like you said, George. It's just something that you've got the quality teams all over the state, and and the good thing about it is the big thing about the schools that you have. You've got a lot of players that are going to play 1A school somewhere. They're going to be there.
Oh yeah,
They're going to probably be at Jones. They'll probably be at East Mississippi. Then they'll come into the big schools. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Hey, there are some kids right now that I looked at Oak Grove that I would love to get Southern together, Jones, somebody. The place kicker at Oak Grove, that kid can nail that ball, and he'll put it in the end zone.
Well, let me tell you something, Harold. I saw 6 USM commits last weekend beat Jackson Prep from Hartfield, and you're getting 6 of them. down there.
Uh-oh.
Hey, look, we got to run. We're up against a break. But, Harold, thank you so much for calling this our last show for this year. Hopefully I'll see you for the MHSAA game, which will be in Hattiesburg.
Yep.
And so,
if all goes well, I'm going to try to make that ball game that night.
Good. You do that. Harold, have a great holiday season, and thank you so much for being a part of Friday Night Under the Lights.
All right, guys, and hey, look for me next year because I'm going to be looking at y'all.
We got you next year.
Hey, if you don't hear me on the phone, you don't know if it's Friday night or not.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right.
Thanks, Harold. All right.
All right, guys.
See you
Y'all
later.
have a good one.
You too.
Yeah.
We've got Ben Ernest on the phone.
Who's coming? We got time? Yeah, we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
Yeah. Ben.
Yeah, I won't take up too much of your time. How you gentlemen doing tonight?
We're good. How about you?
Man, just coming back from the Delta after putting a 21-14 win against Clarksdale.
Talk to me about that ball game.
Man, it was a hard-fought game. Clarksdale showed up to play. West Point showed up to play. Had us nervous there at first. Going into the half, I think the score was 7-6. And West Point just came out on top.
You know, Ernest, is it still, because, you know, I've been doing these games a long time, and whenever I had a West Point game, it was always, you know, ground and pound. I mean, they would
ground and pound.
Yeah, they would throw a pass occasionally. Is it still that way?
I'll tell you, last week against Holmes County, we had 400 plus total offensive yards, and we didn't do one pass play.
Oh, gosh, you're kidding.
No, sir. But tonight, you know, situations as they arise, I think we had, how many we have tonight? 3 completions? Yeah. 2 or 3 completions for 40 or so yards. It came through in the clutch. Sophomore quarterback Colt Whitaker made some big plays, a couple of bootlegs. He scrambled out, got some big first downs. Had some young receivers step up. But I think the name of the game tonight was defense.
Yeah.
West Point came up with some big stops. And it was and Clarksdale had some big stops too, but it was a hard fought game. But I want to just talk about just briefly, and I'll let y'all go to your break. This is our 8th straight state championship football game.
Wow!
Wow!
And I think that speaks volumes to the dynasty that Coach Chambliss and his staff have built at West Point.
Well, I totally agree, Ernest. I couldn't agree more. You know, and I've been a part of 5 of those, and as far as calling them. And it's nothing fancy, okay? But it's just good, hard-nosed, smash-mouth football from West Point.
Yep.
And I don't care what they're doing in August. I don't care what they're doing in September. Everybody cares when they get here next week, okay?
That's right.
And I totally agree. I could not agree with you more. And that is that's pretty solid. 8. That's pretty solid.
Yep. So let me, first of all, Mr. Bud Bowen says hello to you guys.
Tell him we said hello. Tell him we said hello.
I will do. And and I'll end the call with this. I want to hear a little bit of discussion on how y'all see Laurel matching up with West Point next week.
All right.
Thank you guys for having my call, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Ernest, call us next year for sure.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Thank you, Ernest. All right.
Bye-bye.
We're up against a break. As you know, that's pretty neat when a caller knows what you're dealing with here in studio, and you're up against a break.
Yeah, well, you know, to his point or his question, you know, I'd have to think West Point would be pretty heavily favored. I mean,
too.
Laurel just kind of got off the deck and has just sort of run the table here
At the
toward
right
the end
time.
at the right time. But you know, West Point's been there. I mean, you know, as he said, they're 8th. 8th.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I don't know. There's only one other school in the state that I know that has done that.
Probably South Panola.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Prep
been a
too?
while. Prep
won 8.
Okay.
So, but you know, the thing I like about that story is that Laurel is getting hot when you needed to get hot.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot of film that West Point can go back and look at early in the season because they're not playing like that.
Yeah. Well, you know, another thing, and I think this is the interesting thing to me, is you look at the list of schools on here that were playing tonight. I mean, Starkville, Brandon, Oak Grove, South Panola, Picayune, West Jones, West Point. I mean, Louisville. You kind of go down the list, but have you heard those schools before? They're just they just show up. I mean, they get there at the end, and it's just amazing to me. You just talk about these communities where football is just, and I didn't say Picayune. I should have said Picayune.
You didn't say Picayune.
Well, but I mean, they're there. I mean, it's just kind of interesting how these communities is just sort of like success sort of breeds success, you know? The kids expect to win, and they have good coaches, and the community support them, and they just produce.
You know, one of the best examples of that is Tri-County.
Oh yeah,
I mean, this is a team that wins. Private school.
They always win.
They always win. They're always there.
Yeah,
and Josh,
but it is just sort of, and you see this in other things. It's not just football. I mean, sometimes it's baseball. Sometimes it's basketball. Sometimes it's like choir. You know, it's just there, and the kids expect it, and they just produce. It's just kind of interesting,
and it's fun to watch, you know, because we're sitting here in August going, this is great, this is really good, but we have in the back of our mind who's going to be here.
Yeah.
All right, where did that hour go?
I don't know.
All right, if you want to be a part of the program, 1-877-672-7464. We'd like to talk to you about your game tonight. Got some folks on the phone. When we come back, we will head into the second hour. Got some great guests lined up. Keep it right here. Friday night Under the Lights, made possible by Malone Roofers. They're more than just roofers. They're a part of your community. We'll be back.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G Boss Mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Leaky roof? Malone Roofing has you covered long after the storm. Mississippi's roofing experts, setting the industry standards. Family owned for over 50 years. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
Did you know HBCUs are a great place to network? Did you know Cricket has a great network with speedy 5G and is a proud supporter of HBCUs? Yes.
Everybody already knows.
Dante, did you know this is an A and B conversation? So you need to see yourself out. He knows now.
When storms strike and wind and hail wreak havoc, Malone Residential Roofing is there through the restoration process all the way to completion. Contact Malone for your free storm inspection and consultation at ecmalone.com.
Here we're ready for the second hour. Where did the first hour go to?
Flew by.
We've got lots of people on the phone. So as soon as you're ready, we'll tell you who it is, but we got 4 people on hold.
All right, we're going to go through the scores real quickly, then we're going to go to Isabella, who's been waiting on. All right, let's go with the scores,
Yeah,
George.
real quickly, 7A North Championship, Starkville defeated Madison Central 35-15. 7A South, it was Oak Grove over Brandon 49-45. 6A North, Grenada prevailed over South Panola 33-21. 6A South, West Jones, a winner over Picayune 42-13. 5A North, it was West Point beating Clarksdale 21-14. 5A South, Laurel over Gaucher 31-10. 4A North, Louisville over Houston 20-7. The 4A South was Columbia over Poplarville 28-21. 3A North, Winona beating Armanda Elsie 49-22. 3A South, Noxubee County over Jefferson County 36-14. 2A North, Charleston 40, Union 14. 2A South, it was Heidelberg beating Raleigh 16-7. 1A North, Biggersville over Vardaman 41-21, and the 1A South, Velma Jackson doubled up Taylorsville 44-22.
All right, there's your scores.
Isabella's on.
Isabella, how are you tonight?
Oh, we're doing great over here in Vicksburg.
Well,
I didn't get to call in last week because I was working and busy. But can't believe this is the last week.
It flew by, didn't it? Look, you got beat by a pretty good team last week because they won again tonight.
Right. I caught that game on the on their website. They, Grenada. You remember I told you the week before that they play a little defense up there, and they did.
Yep.
They shut Warren Central down. We didn't have no offensive points. Our points come off of a kickoff return. A punt return for a touchdown. And so they're good. It really wasn't surprising to me that they beat South Panola. One, it's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year.
Yes, it is.
And everything.
Yep.
So I'm kind of glad to see it, but you got a lot of the usuals in the playoffs and all these.
That's what we were talking about a while ago.
He was talking about West Point being there for 8 straight year, and so I'm big on trivia and statistics stuff. So here's something for you to ponder.
Okay.
What year was the first Mississippi State playoffs, and who won it, and who did they beat for it, and also, do you know the previous week of who they beat? And so that first year, though, I'll give you a hint. West Point was there. They didn't make it to the state title game, but West Point was there that first year, and then the second year of the playoffs, they won it. So, West Point's always there.
I'm going to say South Panola. I'm going to say South Panola.
It wasn't. The first year of the playoffs in Mississippi was 1981. You had a school called South Natchez, and they ran the Notre Dame
box. You're exactly right.
The coach had 2 quarterbacks, and he didn't want to name one over the other because they was both good. So he adjusted his offense, had both of them on the field at the same time, along with 2 backs.
I remember that.
The previous week, they beat, here's another name you'll remember, they beat West Jones with a guy named Ronnie Ducksworth.
Oh, yes.
But West Point got beat by Starkville in the North State, and then South Natchez beat Starkville.
Yeah,
the first ever state title.
There was a time that West Point and Starkville were in the same classification.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but
back then it was just 2A and 1A,
right.
2B and 1B.
Right.
It stayed like that till 83, and then 84 is when they introduced the 5A format.
And look where we are now, 7A.
Yeah, 7A. So
well, it should be.
To see Heidelberg. Heidelberg's in there for the first time. Grenada's in there for the first time. Biggersville, we knew they was going after about game 6 or 7. And I'll be honest, I've watched a little bit of their stuff. Strength of numbers, like going up against the Tupelos, the Oxford, strength of numbers would kill Biggersville, okay? Because
they're 1A.
Yeah. But if you brought 13 players to the game, each team only brought 13 players, Biggersville could run with anybody.
I agree with you. I'm starting to do my research on them for the game that Josh West and I'll be calling, and you're exactly right.
Columbia, they're good. No surprise to see them back there. Laurel, a little bit surprising in a way, but they are peaking at the right time, and so I consider them a dangerous team to be up against in the playoffs or in the championship.
I agree.
But West Point, West Point's been there. They've got tradition on their side. They've got players that have been there, the previous 3 years and stuff, and so that's hard to overcome too, though. So
they're not going to be surprised by anything, that's for sure. And it should be
West Point.
Go ahead.
West Point's program. Those boys come up through there expecting every year to be in the championship game. They're not expecting to be in the playoffs, because in order to get to the championship game, you have to go through the playoffs. They come up expecting to be in the playoffs, like the old South Panola teams of great back in the early 2000s and stuff. It's an expectation there. It's built. They built a great reputation. So there's going to be some really good games. As far as the Grenada West Jones game, that's hard to call. Both teams are great. West Jones, they're undefeated. They've played some really good competition, but so has
so is Grenada.
Too, so.
Yeah, should be. They're, and of course, if you can't watch them, they'll be on MPB.
Right.
Anywhere you are in the state. We got to run, Isabella. We got some folks lined up behind you trying to get to all these games. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Friday night again this year, and we look forward to having you in studio with us next year.
Absolutely. So, real quick, guess where I will be tomorrow?
Where?
You won't ever guess. We're going to Texas. My brother is a coach at Austin Westlake, so we'll have to look that school up.
Oh, I'm very familiar with it. Very familiar with it.
We are going to watch them. They're in the fourth round of the playoffs or so.
Yeah.
That's big league.
That's big league over there.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to run. Thanks so much. Be careful. Keep that vehicle between the lines. We'll talk to you next year.
I will.
All righty.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We've got Edward to talk about Columbia and Poplarville.
All right, Edward, we're going to get several reports on this game because Josh West going to even win. But the bottom line, didn't that young man catch the touchdown pass with 4 seconds to go for Columbia?
Yes, Nigel Kane.
Yep.
Was on a 23-yard pass from quarterback Colin Haney. It was a fourth down play. The game was 21-7. Columbia had just scored and kicked off, and Poplarville returned the kickoff 85 yards for a touchdown. On the next series, they held Columbia. Quarterback Haney is our punter, and it was a bad snap. He was able to get the ball off, but it was a 10-yard kick. Poplarville came right down and scored to make it 21-all, and Columbia drove down but was held by Poplarville on about the 17-yard line. Poplarville had 3 downs. On the third down, they tried to pass, intercepted by Amari Fortenberry, who will play in the Alabama-Mississippi game.
Yep.
And returned it 22 yards, and that set up the game-winning pass to win the game.
You'll get it.
Seconds. Now, a tip of the hat to Poplarville runs a very unique offense. They got the offense from a 1A school in Alabama. The coach over there has won like 400 games. He's one of the leading winning coaches in Alabama. But it's like a double tight end, similar to a single wing, where they do a lot of reverses, counters, inside handoffs to the guy going wide. It's extremely difficult. And I went to every Columbia game this year, but except for one. And all the teams that we played were wide open, with trips, doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And, So anyways, we're looking forward to playing Louisville.
That's going to be a good one. Fortunate for me, I get to call that one on television with Josh West. And so
Wonderful.
I'm going to be excited about that. Hey, we're going to cut you loose. We've got to get some other folks in here. But
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us a buzz tonight. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
James Murphy.
James, let's see. All right, James, I know what game you went to. tonight because we were discussing that earlier today. But go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, so as you guys, I'm sure, have heard, Louisville beats Houston 20-7. This started off very much a slugfest. Nobody could really get on the board, and you had the feeling that it was the kind of ball game that Houston was just fine with that going on. But things, I think, turned on its head, and late in the second quarter, they end up fumbling back deep in their own territory. Louisville picks it up and scores a touchdown. Then Louisville goes on the kickoff, and Houston loses the return, and then Louisville scores on the very next play. Suddenly it's 14-0, and then the teams trade touchdowns, and by the time halftime comes around, it's 20-7. So all the points were scored in the second quarter. The third quarter, Houston really couldn't get anything going, and I think they had a fumble in the red zone on their first drive of the third quarter, and then late in the fourth quarter, they had a pass drop in the end zone, and I think you could argue they gave Louisville one of, if not its best fight of the season. They just had a lot of chances to make something happen, and quite simply, it was one of those things where they zigged when they should have zagged. They gave Louisville too many opportunities, and you're not going to beat them doing that.
James, we that's kind of a common theme that we've heard tonight. Because we've had some losses tonight from teams that we thought might win, but maybe they didn't convert on a 4th and 2 or something like that. But that sounds exactly. I'm excited, because Josh and I are going to get to call that one this coming Saturday. So on television, so we're pretty pumped about that. 2 really good teams going to go after that one. 2 undefeated teams, by the way. James, thanks so much for making us a part of your Friday night all year long. We look forward to having you back with us next year, my friend.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
All righty. James Murphy bringing it. We're going to take a timeout. And Chris, I'm assuming we'll go back to the phones and we can. Yes, we will. We're going to take a timeout. Tonight's broadcast being brought to you by Cricket. Smile. You're on Cricket. We'll be back.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G Boss Mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Mississippi football families, have you thought about how you're going to tackle student loan debt? Don't do it on your own. Pass the ball to State Treasurer David McRae and his College Savings Mississippi team today. With College Savings Mississippi, you can lock in today's tuition rate, prepay college, and avoid student loan debt altogether. Don't let your finances get sacked because you didn't invest in your child's education. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more today.
Anytime, any store. Malone Roofing has you covered. Number 1 in roof replacements, roof repairs, and sheet metal fabrication. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com. Family owned for over 50 years.
1 in 10 Mississippians has unclaimed money awaiting claim at the state treasury. There's literally hundreds of millions of dollars waiting to be united with the rightful owner. At www.treasury.ms.gov to search. You'll see your name and stake your claim by following these instructions. You'll be asked for some basic ID like a copy of your license or a government-issued ID, then hit send. Treasurer David McRae has a dedicated unclaimed money team awaiting your claim, ready to return your money. Don't wait. Look for your name and stake your claim today. www.treasury.ms.gov.
And here we go. We've got, let me make sure I've got this right, Joseph Craven is on the phone to talk to you.
My buddy from Hartfield Academy. Joseph, welcome to the Scoreboard Show. Did you ever feel like you'd get to call a state championship game?
Not in football. I mean, not when it comes to, calling games for a 12-year-old school that, I mean, 6 or 7 years ago might have won 4 games. You know, it's just,
it's a huge story.
You cherish these moments.
Yes, you do. You do. You cherish them. And they won it outright. They run it. They just, they flat out beat everybody. And, Prep couldn't run the ball against them Saturday, and so then they had to throw. And then I thought the recovery speed of your corners was excellent. And then you throw in Reed Jasolowski, and it's a long night for anybody.
It is. And the week before, when I'd called in and we were kind of talking about that, I said that I felt like it would be that defensive front for the Hawks that would be the deciding point. And
it was.
To that point, junior defensive end, nose tackle London Simmons ended the night with 6 sacks, which is, I guess that's kind of the story of the ball game. And it was that defensive front that really did control things. So it was a special night for Hartfield. And, like you pointed out, it was an undefeated season. You just don't see that happen. It was a 12-game regular season, no bye week. That just doesn't happen. So this entire year is one that we are not taking for granted out there.
I'll bet you're not, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, embracing it.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I said going into that game was about Tapper, your quarterback, doesn't do anything spectacular except get the ball into the hands of the playmakers, and that turned out to be the case last Saturday.
Yes, and he has been week after week this season just showing a little bit more of a comfort level and just doing a little bit more. The one thing if there is anything that he really excels at, he has incredible touch on those little fade routes in the back of the end zone.
Yes, he does.
And that was what his touchdown pass again in the championship game was, one of those, and he's done those very, very well.
Brennan Farrell.
All right, Brennan, didn't you have tonight? It's the one school that we just really didn't get much on tonight. You had let me pull it up here. I know where you went. You told me today, and it was you had Biggersville, didn't you?
Yes.
And they're the 1A that got into the state championship game, correct?
Yes. Biggersville and Vardaman.
And
Biggersville 41, Vardaman 21.
Wow. And when I looked at that, Brennan, I thought, I mean, my goodness, the way Vardaman's been playing all year, that this game was going to be closer than that.
Well, the big thing was turnovers. Biggersville's Jason Hatch. He's committed to play at Louisville, and in the first half alone, he had 3 interceptions. One of them he returned for a touchdown, and he had a fumble recovery that he also returned for a touchdown. And next thing you know, it's like a 21-0 hole in the first quarter. So that's just kind of the way it went.
Well, and I got the Biggersville game coming up this weekend, this coming weekend. Are they a balanced team, or are they pretty much running the ball?
I mean, they're mostly going to. Look, like the offense is going to run through Hatch and Trey Gunn. They're going to run the ball a bunch, but also they're just really explosive. It's kind of hard for me to tell because the first game I was at was week 1. They scored 1 million points, so they kept scoring like the first or second play of the drive. So I can't really get anything out of that. And then tonight they just almost never had the ball because they kept scoring on defense. So, or they would get short field or whatever. So. But yeah, it's mostly a running team, and they're going to give the ball to Hatch and Trey Gunn, and all their other guys. So,
isn't this Biggersville's got kind of a tradition of being in this state championship game?
I believe this is the first. They're going back. This is the first time they've been back since 2020. So
Yeah,
it hasn't been that long.
Right. But before that, they had been there a lot.
I'm not sure about that off the top of my head.
I know I've called the game several times on there. They're just a good program. They're going to bring a lot of fans up there. It should be. Who do you like in that game?
Since I live up north, it's hard for me to get a good read on teams in the south. But Biggersville has just been putting up points on everybody across the board when they play 1A teams up here. So it's kind of hard for me to bet against them.
Yeah, I can understand that. And Brennan, we really appreciate you giving us these reports all year long and being with us and, staying up with us on Friday night, because there's a lot of folks that don't know what's going on up in the north unless they listen to the show, and they have you to tell them, what the teams are. So we want to thank you, invite you to come back with us next year and give us the skinny on what's happening up in football up in the north part of the state.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it. Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, we've got Ainsley Brent.
Oh, the coast. Ainsley, is there anybody left on the coast?
Well, the coast curse is real. Let's say that.
Well, I don't see anybody. You're talking about an area of the state that had great football this year. George, there isn't anybody from the coast down there, is there?
No, actually not. No.
What happened?
So what happened was we just didn't do good. I mean, I knew all games were going to be competitive. I mean, two of our programs were facing undefeated programs, so I knew it wouldn't be a cakewalk. But I was obviously think we were all expecting a little more from Picayune. But I didn't find out until 30 minutes before the game that their 4-star Chris Davis wasn't allowed to participate. So that was a big loss on their part.
It was.
And then Darrell Smith was his backup. He was down in the first quarter with an injury. So, I mean, just right off the bat, bang, bang, it was just not looking good, and West Jones definitely looked at their film, knowing they were going to run the ball, and that defense just showed up. But so did their freshman quarterback. I mean, I was very, very impressed by him. So that final was 42-13. So not a good day for the Maroon Tide.
I think a lot of people probably had Ocean Springs being in the final, and that didn't happen. But what a great season they had. And Gulfport, too.
Yeah, I mean, I really had them in my mind playing tonight just like they did last year against Brandon. But Oak Grove won that close one, but that's not some region anymore. It's where I graduated from. That was a good game. Because I have 2 desktops lined up with 3 different games, so trying to keep track of them all. But our best game was actually Poplarville, Columbia.
Yeah.
They lost in the final 4 seconds of the game, so I mean they fought till the end.
Yeah, but the Columbia came back. Josh West was on the phone telling me what was going on in that game, and he said that Columbia had like a first and goal from the 5, and then a first and goal from the 10, and then one from the 20, and they had to turn. They turned it over, and I thought Poplarville, might do something. They threw a pick, and Columbia took advantage of it, and the kid catches the ball with 4 seconds to go. What a finish that was down there in Columbia.
I know. I was very proud of them because I didn't know how that game would go. I mean, you never do, but I was very, very impressed by the way they fought. Definitely this year. I mean, I feel like Poplarville is always in South State, so I mean, it's always a good program coming out of that school. I
totally agree. Well, Ainsley, we want to thank you for you stepped into a frying pan, and with Jeff leaving, but you did a great job, and we appreciate you keeping us up to date on what's going on down on the coast, and we'll look forward to having you back next year, girl.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me.
All righty, Ainsley. Thank you so much. We're going to take a time out. Much more Friday night Under the Lights coming up. Stay with us.
Roof problems? Malone Roofing has you covered. Mississippi's residential and commercial roofing experts. Our work proves it. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com. Family owned for over 50 years.
See your name and file your claim. Even the smallest counties in Mississippi usually have thousands of people whose names are on the unclaimed money list at the Mississippi State Treasury. That's right. Many counties even have tens of thousands of names listed, totaling tens of millions in unclaimed dollars. Since he's been state treasurer, David McRae has returned a record $80 million to Mississippians who've searched the list, found their names, and staked their claim. About 1 in 10 Mississippians have unclaimed money, and that's why you should check www.treasury.ms.gov or click on Unclaimed Money and search today. If you see your name, file your claim. If it's your money, Treasurer David McRae will get it back to you.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G Boss Mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. I'm Russ Robinson. He's George Broad Street, and Chris Saxton is producing tonight. Ty Bailey back on the phones, and if you want to call us, you still got time. 877-672-7464. Charles. Is producing tonight back behind me, and Liz isn't here tonight. Liz has been here every week.
That's right. She's visiting family
I get
in
that.
Arkansas. It's
get that.
Thanksgiving weekend.
But we miss Liz.
We do miss her.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked about it as much this year we did last year, but it's so nice, in the facilities here at MPB.
Oh, yes.
Which is a kind of a step above what we're used to. But, great facilities and really helps make the show that much better.
Yeah, it does. And I last week when I was on location, I listened, and the clarity of the calls of MPB's towers. I was listening on one of the towers I picked up in Greenwood and took it all the way to the Madison line over there, and picked up the Central Mississippi signal, and clear as a bell. So I picked up 91.3, which is in the Jackson area, and
aren't each one of their towers 100,000?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in Biloxi, Boonville, Bude, that's down around the Macomb area, in case you didn't know, Greenwood, Jackson, Meridian, the Mississippi State area, and the Oxford area, and they've added the championship games, and we had Jared Schatz on earlier tonight. And we've also had a request to go over the games and the brackets.
Yeah.
And when they play.
And
because
I can do that.
Yeah, and because don't we have a Thursday game this year because of the 7A?
I think we do. But whenever you want me to go through it, I
Just
will.
whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Here we're going to go. This is totally ad lib here. All right. 7A finals, which will be Starkville and Oak Grove. That will be Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
These are at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. The 6A finals, which will be Grenada and West Jones. That will be Friday night at 7 o'clock. All right, let's see. Now, I'm going on. This is off Will's spreadsheet now.
Okay, well, you can trust Will.
Yeah, I know. 5A championship, which will be Laurel and West Point. That is Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that'll be a good one to start out with.
The 4A game, which will be, that will be Louisville and Columbia.
Is that Friday?
No, that's Saturday. That's Saturday at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So, So then the 3A game, which will be also on Saturday at 3 o'clock. That's assuming that we don't have 4 overtime games or something like that.
Which is a possibility.
Which is a possibility. The 3A, which will be Winona and Noxubee County. That'll be 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. This Saturday, the December the 2nd. The 2A finals, which will be, Charleston and Heidelberg. That will be Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And then finally, the 1A game, which will be Biggersville and Velma Jackson, will be at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon.
All right. So that's your lineup. And as you said there.
Wait a minute. That can't be possible because he's got the same time. So let's see.
I think my game is that early game.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let me study this a little bit longer. Okay. But
that's it.
So we got 2 games Friday at 4 o'clock. That can't be possible.
That can't be happening. No, we'll figure that out.
Because you're not going to be playing out in the parking lot at Vaught Hemingway or in the Grove. You're not going to have it in the Grove. You're going to be playing. Okay. So that has to be one of these has to be an earlier game.
All right.
Friday at noon. So I'm not sure, or Friday at 1 or something like that.
I think it's Friday at noon, and I think that's my game.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. So, all right. So there you have it. one thing that before we go any further, there's a lot of people that come together to make this show possible. And obviously, the people that are financially support us here at Friday Night Under the Lights, which is the state of Cricket Wireless and the state of Mississippi, and also Malone Roofing. Came together this year to make this happen, and they're also going to be making sure that the All-Star games, of which MPB will cover, which will have the Bernard Blackwell on the next weekend and the Miss Owl game the following weekend, and a lot of great players in those games. But Liz brought us their MPB's magazine, I guess, for lack of a better word, that they put out every month, and to all the people that help MPB, which is a lot. And they had a really nice article about Friday Night Under the Lights in there, and we so much appreciate that. And they had the kind words in there, and then of course, Chris coming off the DL in time to get us. I was kind of shaking in my boots.
Yeah, we kind of laughed, but Chris was kind of on the down and out there for a couple of weeks. He was in bad shape, and so it's really a good thing that he's here.
Oh, you got that right. I didn't know what I was going to do about the ball games coming up. With the
who's going to carry the
So,
equipment?
do I want to be the advertisement to everybody? Go get your COVID-19 shot. If you think it's gone,
it ain't gone.
It's not.
So then you got Ty Bailey, who comes in every Friday, faithfully to answer the telephones and get those calls to Chris so that Chris can get them to us. And then Charles is back there producing all of this for MPB. And then I think you've been with us, I know, minimum 20 years.
I don't even know. I mean,
I think it's a minimum of 20.
The memory's blurry.
And next year we'll be 35 years old.
Unbelievable.
So, wow, it's been a long time.
We're a little older than 35.
Yeah, it's a race against the clock. That's right. But we're glad that everybody has enjoyed the show, and everywhere I go, people say how much they enjoy it and how much they enjoy the callers. I said, why don't you call in? They said, I don't want to take any time away from Harold. We really appreciate that, and guys like Joseph Craven. I mean, how big is it to call a state championship? The school hadn't even been there 10 years, kind of, and so he got to do that last week, and talked about it this week. So. Just what we do, we love what we do, but it takes a lot to do what we do.
Yeah, and it's morphed over the years, and it's kind of found its own sort of niche in the last few years. So,
well, and video changed a lot of things.
Video, internet, all that kind of stuff.
People find out.
I can remember when you used to have about 6 people. That goes back a long time ago, but about 6 people calling and trying to find scores.
Yes.
And that was before we had cell phones and stuff.
We had them lined up back there, and they're calling it, who won that game anyway? But we've had stringers out there,
Yeah.
But the guys that call the game, like Kerry Metzler, gosh, can you believe he's retired? And we didn't officially, we did not let Reed retire on this show tonight. He's out. I mean, if the good doctors think, we're not doing 2 on the same year. We're just not doing it. So, but we enjoy what we do, and but it's been a challenge this year. We've had Chris on the DL, and
you've been on the DL.
I've been on the DL, with a torn rotator cuff, and so
2024 had better be better.
Well, it can't get any worse.
I mean, you're talking about the health of the crew here, but as far as the season goes, the games we had, and the championships, and the games through the year,
as good as always.
It's been a good year.
Yeah, it has been. And one group started before the next group, and so the private school started before the public school, and so it was kind of every other week kind of thing, and now we've caught up with everybody in the playoffs, and I was wondering how people were going to react to 7A, and I think they like it.
Yeah, I think it's still, to some degree, there's not that many schools, so the competition level was just so good I think that's the thing that just really caught my attention is that, there are only like 24 schools in 7A. And, 16 of them made the playoffs. But, man, those 16 were some really good football teams.
Yeah. And
So,
it's just a sad thing when it's like Cary tonight. I mean, who would have thought that Picayune – well, of course, who they played. I've seen them, and they're the real deal. West Jones.
And, they played a very challenging, difficult schedule.
Yes, they did.
So it's, they've had a great run, and I don't think this is the end of it at all.
Oh, no.
So they got a lot of
A
talent.
bunch of these teams that we're talking about now
will be back.
They'll be back because they've got young players. You've heard tonight on the show about young sophomore quarterbacks or junior running backs are going to be back next year, that kind of thing. So, it's going to be another great year next year and, maybe bigger and better than ever. We want to get one phone call in because we're going to come back on the other side of the break. Granny's going to be calling. Also, Brandon Shields will be calling. But Ty Bowles has been patiently waiting, and I know he's got a lot to say. Good evening, Ty. How are you?
I'm good, Russ. How are you? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was too good. I'm heavier for it. How about you? Did you have a good one?
Yes, and I was at the Egg Bowl.
Oh, oh man, tough night.
Yes.
Tough.
But tonight is I'm happy.
And I know why.
Yes.
Texas won. They got past Texas Tech.
Yes. Now I'm just waiting on Oklahoma to see if Texas can win the national championship or something.
Well, I'll tell you,
6-12.
it's going to be tough. I'm going to keep an eye on that Ohio State-Michigan game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that should be a good one. So I'm going to let you say it for the last time this year.
Go!
Thanks, Ty. All right. That's going to take us to a break. Now, on the other side, we'll go through all the scores one more time for so many people tell me, I don't get in my car till 11:30. We're going to get something to eat or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through it again. We always like to try to wind up the show with the fact that there are people getting in their cars. And so we're going to go over all of the scores tonight and also the people that'll be playing next week in the championship games. Don't forget, you can hear all the state championship games right here on MPB Think Radio. We're going to take a time out and more Friday night Under the Lights coming up.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G Boss Mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
When storms rage, Malone responds. From claim to completion, Malone Roofing has helped rebuild communities for nearly 50 years. Contact Malone for 24/7 service at ecmalone.com.
If the money's yours, you should have it. That's why State Treasurer David McRae has returned a record $80 million in unclaimed money to Mississippians. And there's hundreds of millions more, maybe with your name on it. Check the list. Visit www.treasury.ms.gov and see if you have any of the unclaimed money. Each year, banks, utilities, businesses, brokers, and insurance companies turn over millions of dollars to the state because they're not sure who is entitled to the funds. Treasurer McRae has an entire unclaimed money staff waiting to take your claim and return your money. Check the list today. Treasury.ms.gov.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights, the last 15-minute segment for 2023. It's hard to believe. Unbelievable how quick this season has gone. What we want to do, we got a couple of callers. We got Brandon Shields online, and we also got Granny on the line. Before we go to them, very quickly, we're going to go over the scores and who plays who.
All right, very quickly, the 1A championships, Biggersville defeated Vardaman 41-21, and Velma Jackson defeated Taylorsville 44-22. So Biggersville and Velma Jackson in Class in a 1A championship. The 2A championship, Charleston defeated Union 40-14. Heidelberg defeated Raleigh 16-6. So Charleston faces Heidelberg in 2A. In 3A, it was Noxubee County over Jefferson County 36-14, and Winona defeated Amanda Elsie 49-22. So the 3A championship will be Winona and Noxubee County. In 4A, Columbia defeated Poplarville 28-21, and also Louisville defeated Houston 20-7. So Louisville and Columbia play for the 4A championship. 5A, it was West Point defeating Clarksdale 21-14, and Laurel defeated Gaucher 31-10. So it's West Point and Laurel in 5A. In the 6A championship, Grenada defeated South Panola 33-21. And West Jones beat Picayune 42-13. So West Jones faces Grenada in 6A. In the 7A, Starkville beat Madison Central 35-15. And maybe the game of the night didn't go to overtime, but Oak Grove pulled out a 49-45 win over Brandon at Brandon. So the 7A championship will be Starkville and Oak Grove.
Wow, what a lineup.
A great
All right,
lineup.
Let's go to Granny first, and I know where you probably were tonight. You were probably at Oak Grove tonight.
No, I was at work tonight.
Oh, no, Granny?
Yeah, I had to work. But what about West Jones? Have you ever seen or heard of a perfect defense?
A perfect defense?
Yeah.
I saw it earlier this year. West Jones had it.
Russ, that may be the closest thing you get to a perfect defense.
You're exactly right. They are so
those
big.
Guys, they're big and they can go, they'll hit you, and they use that home field advantage to perfection.
Well, they used it to perfect. You know, Prep hung with them.
They did.
But got beat. They seem to get stronger as year. You know, this is the same team that beat Terry 2-0 the week after they beat Prep.
And then they beat them 30-7 last week. I mean, 30-7. I mean, I won a game 2-0, and when I was in high school, I know how tough that is to do. And they won 2-0.
Yeah, and it wasn't a forfeit. It was a safety.
It was a safety by lunch meat.
Lunch meat?
Lunch meat, Lindsay. You number 18. Remember him?
No,
I've not heard of Lunch Meat Lindsay. Is he a senior?
Lindsay, that's him.
Is he a senior?
I think so. I think so.
It's a shame. We'd love to have covered Lunch Meat next year.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But, Russ, let me tell you something, man. I've been a part of this show, your show here, for 25 years, Russ.
Yep.
And, Russ, it's been awesome, man. I've enjoyed it. It gets better and better every year. And you guys in the studio do a good job. You and George, y'all do a great job. And Ty and Chris, y'all do a great job. This is a great show, Russ. Everybody loves it. It means as much to them as it does you.
Well, thank you, Brian. It's we've talked about how much we love doing it, and you got to see it for yourself last week, and we work hard at what we do, and of course the product we have is great. So that's what makes it. But having folks like yourself call every week, and and you saying, well, I went to another game tonight. It was 2-point victory. You went to a bunch of those. But look, we appreciate you making us a part of your Friday night, and I hope we'll see you up at Ole Miss next week.
Well, I don't know about that yet. I don't know.
Well, I'll see you at the All-Star games.
Yeah, probably so. You'll see me at some basketball games this year.
Oh, okay. Well, Granny, we're going to let you loose, but thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you for making Friday night under the lights what it is.
Thank you, sir.
All righty.
All right,
bye-bye. All right, let's go to Brandon Shields, who's on the road, and I know he was at Oak Grove tonight, right?
Yeah, I was there. Brandon Oak Grove, yeah.
All right, and this is a game that went back and forth, correct?
Yeah, Oak Grove jumped on them 14-0, then held a 28-14 lead at halftime. But then Brandon just chipped away, outscored Oak Grove 17-7 in the third, cut it to 35-31, and then took the lead 45-42 in the midway in the fourth quarter after they blocked the punt. But Oak Grove they do what they do, man. Their offense, they just have an answer. They always find a way. And they found a way and drove down, scored, went up 45-42, and got a fourth down stop at their own 41-yard line to win the game on fourth down. So, yeah, it was a heck of a game.
Yeah, we had Jake on earlier, and he said on that 4th and 2, they gave it to that great Brandon running back, and he missed it by half a yard.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, the Oak Grove D lineman, Andrew Maddox, he stuck the ball. I mean, it was, very, very short, just the game inches, and literally an inch short. So,
well, you work with Chris Brooks on the Gridiron Magazine, and I mean that's the Bible in this state as far as high school football is concerned. And you had picks, preseason picks. How close were you on any of those?
Oh gosh.
Bad question.
I'd have to go back and look because I can't even remember. I know 2A was wrong.
What about 4A?
4A was right. I got 4A right. I got 5A right. I think I got 6A right too.
You picked Grenada?
No, not 6A, 7A. 6A is the year of the underdog.
Yes.
Grenada, West Jones. Not a lot of people had that written in, and Grenada's played well, especially on defense. I saw them play last week against Orange Central. That'll be a good defensive game. West Jones, as Brian just mentioned, they have a really good defense.
Yep.
The whole Picayune to shut down that run game, you got to do something. And lunch meat, Isaiah Lindsay, defensive end, he's a really good player. So
by the way, what's the story on lunch meat? How did he get that name?
I have no clue. I saw when I learned it was at the Fret game. So
oh, really?
That was the first term for me. So yeah. So I talked to Reynolds this weekend. I'm gonna have to ask him that question.
Well, send the answers to Dave Shows on our website because they're probably gonna want some people on there. Hey, Brandon, you've done a great job this year of kind of wrapping up the show every night, every Friday night because you've got a lot of stuff to do before this particular time, and sometimes. More times than not, you've had to roll with a lot of punches as to who's on the air and all that sort of stuff. But you've done a great job for us this year. You do a good job out there in the field, and we just appreciate you and what you do for high school football.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a grind for sure, and you have a routine every week, and you kind of stick with it. And that's how it's been ever since I've gotten into this business. So, and it's a lot of fun. It's It has its times, but it's fine.
Well, and you make it that way, and you do a good job. You do a really good job, Brandon. We're going to cut you because we're coming up against a hard break, but I'll see you up there next weekend at the championship games and also the All-Star games, I hope.
Yeah, 7 games next week and then the 2 All-Star games, so it ain't over.
No, it ain't over. Thanks, Brandon. We appreciate you, bud.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Wow.
Well,
gosh, a whole season is gone.
Yeah, I mean 14 weeks for us, and
was it 14? It sure was.
Yeah, it was 14.
I think I put 15 on the pad today. I've been out of it most of the week.
You've been out of it all far a lot, but I'm glad to have you and Chris back at full speed, at least by the get here to the championship round.
Yeah. Well, players show up for the big games.
Show up for the big games. Yeah, you're an old pro,
He just dragged me up to the next press box. I'm just looking for a game to call. But, a reminder, MPB will carry those games. Jared Schott has put together. Ben Ingram's going to be back to call some of those.
Yeah. I listened to Ben a little bit doing a few Braves games.
Yeah.
He had that voice when he was 6 years old.
That's just the scary part of it. I looked at him one day in class and I said, "You've got more talent in your little finger than I've ever had in my life." But he brought up the World Series ring from the Braves. And I mean, thing looked like a doorknob, and it had a secret compartment. You pull and it had stuff that had happened over the years, like Hank Aaron and stuff like that. Really neat. Yeah. Yeah, it's really neat. Anyway,
I'd like to have one of those.
I would. Big thanks to the people that made this happen: Malone Roofing, and all Cricket Wireless, and the state treasurer of Mississippi with the college savings program. And also, did you ever find out if you had money coming to you?
I don't.
All right, that's a challenge.
I know. Well, just keep looking.
Big thanks to Chris Saxon. Glad to have you back. Ty and Charles, Liz, everybody that made this show possible this year for 2023. We will be back, hopefully next year, 2024, with another season of Friday Night Under the Lights.